Welcome aboard, folks. I'm Steven Malkowich, your captain on this adventure called Ship of Fools. It's a fabulous mess, and you're invited.
Welcome aboard, Alex. The Ship of Fools. I don't know exactly what this boat is, but we call it the Ship of Fools.
That's cool.
Where wit meets wisdom, and we try and bring some levity to situations that are going on. One of the things that you were brought to my attention by Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
Nikki said that you got to have this guy on because he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And we have all intentions of making it downtown and going. I want to see some bangers and laugh, because laughing is the best medicine. So what I want to do is I'd like to start off with, I don't want to get all biographical kind of thing, but I did look you up, and you come from back east.
Halifax, yeah.
Halifax. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And when did you move out here?
I've actually lived here twice, but about 4.5 years ago for the second time.
Uh-huh.
So I left Halifax when I was like 21 or 22, and I moved to Calgary just to like work as a valet.
Did you just pick up, did you just go, I'm going?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
I was not particularly pumped on the things I was doing in Halifax, so I was like, I'm just going to move. I just moved out of nowhere. I never even told my friends. I just moved.
You just left?
Yeah, and then I went and lived on the floor in between two apartments in like a hallway, and then just got a job as a valet.
Mm-hmm.
and lived there, and then I like saved up money, went to school for broadcasting eventually, like 6 years later. I just brushed over 6 years. But yeah, and then I got a job in radio, and then I moved from Calgary to Vancouver to Toronto, then back to Calgary, and then back to Vancouver. So that's what I mean. I've lived here twice in that sense.
Was radio always is that the plan?
No. The plan was just to save up $100,000. That was my original plan, because in my mind, in my like Halifax brain, I was like, oh, once I have $100,000, life will be all set. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I'll have up. And then I can just, I don't know, retire, just be a rich guy, just be rich.
Yeah.
And I was working as a valet, and it was great money doing it. And I was the on-site manager of a building in Calgary for a long time, which is crazy that they even gave me that job when I was like 23.
What kind of qualifications did you have to have?
So it's funny, my friend applied for the job, and he was like, yeah, like they want an on-site manager for this building. And then he had an interview, and he wasn't going to go to the interview. And I was like, just bring me with you.
Uh-huh.
And then, and I'll do all the talking.
Okay.
And so we go to the interview, and they're like, we're in the waiting room. He's like, let's just leave. We're 20, because we're 23. We're like, why would they give us this job? And then I'm like, you don't have to do anything. I'll do all the talking. So we go in, and we meet with this woman named Maggie, and I just start giving her this spiel. I had worked in car sales a little bit, so I'm just...
Oh, so you're selling cars too?
Well, I'm putting, in the term in the car industry is I'm putting the hat on her, which is not a great term. That's why I quit selling cars, because they're all, somewhat evil. So I'm just like convincing her. I'm like, yeah, like, you know what? You could have two of us rather than one. Two people will live in the apartment. We'll do the job. And I'm getting through, and she's kind of listening, and then she stops. She goes, "So who are you? Who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm his friend," and he's not even talking. And then we do the interview, and then we get up and we go to leave, and I turned to her and I said, I know when you put that job application out, we weren't what you were picturing, but I promise you, if you take a chance on us, you won't regret it. And then we left. And he was like, man, that was really good. I was like, yeah, that's
sometimes these things.
So I just start pouring it on.
Yeah.
And then, so we got the job. And then years later, after she got to know me, she was like, you and your, cause we were cool. We were pretty good at the job, but also I was really laid it on thick in the interview, as everybody does. She was like, with that, we'll take a chance on us. She was like, Alex, now that I know you, I know that you're just, you just were talking to me and just saying anything you could to get it. And then years later, the movie Step Brothers came out. You ever see Step Brothers?
Yeah.
And then they go to job interviews together. And me and that guy went to it in the theater. We had no idea. And then, like when
That's
they're
us.
They're in the suits, and the guy just leans over. He was like, "That was us." We were crying, laughing. We were just like, "He's like, that was us. We actually did that. We went to a job interview together, got the job."
So what was the title? Like a property management?
So it's on-site manager for Calgary Housing. So it was like a Calgary housing building, but it was a special program where you could only live there for 2 years, and you had to be elevating yourself because it was below market rent. And then the idea is you move in, and then you can afford market rent by the time you leave. So we were the on-site managers of that building, and it was a crazy building. It had like a handicap unit on every floor, and I got to know a lot of great people, a lot of people not so great.
Did you get phone calls like in the middle of the night?
Oh, yeah, all the time. We were on the hook all the time. It was actually kind of good for me in a sense because it kept me really like, I had to be very responsible, a lot more responsible than I had been.
And grounded and tolerant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Tolerant.
But it was good. It was good. And I did it for years. I saved up money. I didn't have to pay rent and saved up money and went to school.
Cool. So that's where you went to broadcast school?
I was actually doing putting up flyers for the building. And so we were putting up flyers at the university, and I had walked by the broadcasting wing, and I just kind of looked in, and they were all having so much fun. I was 26, and I had never gone to university, and my younger sister does radio too.
Okay.
And she used to call me and be like, ask me questions. I didn't even really listen to radio. And she would just be like, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I would tell her just whatever I was thinking. She was like, that's really good. You could be in radio. And I brushed it off because at the time I had my amazing life plan of just saving up $100,000. And so I was like, no, I need to get to $100,000, and
so when did comedy enter the...
So on the inside, I wanted to do comedy for a long time, but I was too scared to admit it to myself. So I never said it out loud because then I would be a coward, because I hadn't done it. But it was basically when I ended up doing a morning show in Toronto with my sister, and
that's cool. That must have been pretty cool.
It was cool. That was our like dream to do it. That was like the plan. So we did that, and then we got fired. And
why'd you get fired?
They just turned people over. Like the ratings weren't great, and
it's all about that business. Is all about the ratings, eh?
Yeah,
like I know nothing about ratings.
They'll move on pretty quickly. They don't really care.
So were you like morning show?
We're the morning show on a station called The Edge.
Did you have a gong that you banged and did all that shit?
No, not really.
Siren.
I wish. That sounds really cool. Maybe we would have made it had I had a gong. When you get fired in radio, you get paid out for 6 months, but you're not allowed to work.
Okay.
You're not allowed to work for another company. So right before, so I knew for a few months that I was going to get fired. You can always tell because of the way like little things like they're not doing anything for the next quarter or the next ratings period. So I started to really do comedy then because I was like, my plan was so that the next time I get fired, I'll have something to do for that 6 months. So that's when I really started. And like in my mind, I was like, I'm gonna be this successful comedian, and then they'll really regret firing me, and I'll really have stuck it to them. And then once I got it going, and I actually started to get some good shows, all the people that I deal with are actually really nice. The people that fired me are actually good people. There's nothing wrong with them. They were all like, "We're really happy for you," and I was like, "No, you're supposed to be mad. You're supposed to be like, oh, regretting it."
Yeah.
And then I got moved to Vancouver, Calgary, then Vancouver again. Then I worked for a station called Sonic here. This is about like 2.5 years ago, 4 years ago. And then about a year and a half ago, I got fired again. And when I was getting fired, I was like kind of pumped because I had done the thing that I wanted to do. The goal that I set was to be able to tour in that next 6-month chunk, So when the guy was firing me, he was like, "This is really sad." I was like, "It's actually not that sad. It's okay." And he was like, "No, it's not okay. I really like you." They always go, "I really like you, and you're really talented," and all this stuff. They always say that. Yeah, I'd say the paperwork's there. You already know the paperwork's there. Yeah, like they the first time they were like, if there's anything we can do for you, let me know. I was like, you could tear up this termination paperwork and I'll go back downstairs. You want to do something for me?
Did you say that?
No, I thought it. I thought I was like, well, we could.
That would have been priceless.
Yeah.
That would have been priceless.
They're really cool. Even the last time, so they wanted to, he was like, you got to come. You can always tell you're going to get fired because you get a special type of email and the email looks different. These people I deal with, they're really cool. I'm cool with them, right? Yeah. So when we talk, we just text. But then you get an email that's like, come to the office at 10 a.m. And then you go, oh, this is certainly shadow CC'd with HR because they have to like do the official. Yeah. So he's like, come at 10 a.m. And I was like, I'm not waiting until 10 a.m. because I get off at 9 a.m.
And you knew it was coming.
Oh, I knew 100%. Every single person I worked with had been fired, including my boss. So I was just walking around this station all alone every day, just waiting. This station closed down. They didn't even keep the station. I used to walk by the sports guys, and they would be all in there having so much fun. I'd walk by. I remember walking by. They were in a circle, and I don't know what the context of the conversation was, but the guy was just going. He was going Pittsburgh, Florida, Baltimore, and they're like obviously having some great sports debate. And I was just looking in like, God, it'd be nice to have coworkers. So sad. Just like, wouldn't that be? Oh, look at these guys. They're having so much. What are we talking about? Is it football? You guys talking football?
You're pathetic guy.
Yeah. So sad. It was just, I just used to wander around.
Find the hallways, the radio station.
All alone. It also felt like I was doing radio for no one. I was just like, I just go in a room and I talk to myself every day. I talk to myself. I'm getting like no sleep. I'm doing shows at night and just like, but yeah, so he's like, come at 10. And I'm like, oh, okay, today's the day. I'm actually kind of excited because I was tired of waking up so early. And so we go and I go early and he's in there and this guy's a great guy. I love the dude that I was dealing with. And he's like, oh, because they have to have HR there when they fire you. Yeah. And so I go in and I see him and he's like, oh, I'm not ready. I was like, hey, can we, because he can't say it. And he was like, oh, I just need, and the HR guy was in the hall. But I knew he didn't, and I go, oh, he's out here.
You're telling him.
I go, he's out here. He's over here. I go, come on. Come on in.
Come on in.
We're going to get this over with. Let's not drag this out. Put the dog down. We're going to put the dog down now. As the dog, let me tell you, the dog wants to get put down faster.
It's all good. We're all good.
And we were all good. He's a great guy. And he was like, no, whatever. And then, and then I immediately just messaged every booker I knew and was like, hey, I got a free schedule for the next 6 months. And then now I work for CFOX. I work for the same people that fired me in Toronto, the exact same people. So it's not like a personal thing. Yeah. People say with the corporations, they're like, they treat you like a number. And I go, that's actually better. And they're like, why? And I'm like, because if they're firing a number, they're just getting rid of a number. I'm just a number on a sheet. There's a budget. They didn't make the budget. The ads didn't pay for it. Yeah. It's better for them to get rid of a number than to get rid of Alex Carr, the human being. Yeah.
Yeah. Just get rid of XY's numbers 7773.
That would really hurt.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the number. I'm just attached to the number. I go, you got to get rid of this number.
You're talking to a guy. I've been in the newspaper business since 1989.
Yeah.
So we've been, we've had our share of, whack fests. Mm-hmm. It's just like we're dwindling slowly and painfully down, to the point where, we have, you take a 7-day-a-week paper and then you go 6 and then you go 5 and then you go 4 and it's like death by unga bunga. It's just slow. Yeah. Okay. Who's next? We have an organized workforce. Like the union has pretty much, it is what it is. Like it's just, it's too bad. But I'm a guy that was raised on newspapers. And I'm also a cable cutter too.
Right.
I during COVID, I cut cable. But I still know what's going on. Like I do. And I'm a news junkie too. Like I watch way too much YouTube, according to my wife. But I watch the news. Like I want to know what's going on.
Yeah,
I do. I'm interested, and I want to and I want to laugh. There's a lot of great content out there. Very little money is being made by content creators, which is problematic. Like that's YouTube's making it. Whatever their mix is. But like if you would have thought, like, how old are you?
41.
Okay. If you were 16 or 17 years old and somebody came up to you, Alex, and said, you know what, when you're 41 years old, there's going to be a thing, and it's going to be called, Quick Fix or Netflix or whatever. And it's going to be a thing called binging. And what you're going to do is you're going to watch 16 episodes of the same show in one night.
Yeah.
Like you're just going to go, you would have went, you're nuts.
Mm-hmm.
You're nuts. But I kind of do that sometimes.
Right.
Now, I'm not as bad as I used to. Like, I use this example. You know the show Peaky Blinders?
Yeah.
Okay. Loved it. My wife travels a lot for work and stuff, and I found it. And she's, I don't know where she was, Poland or whatever. I stayed up like for 3 nights in a row, watched everything.
Yeah.
Like, lying in bed. Okay, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen now? And then when I finished, I was like, she comes home and she goes, okay, well, let's watch. I watched them all. I watched them. She
ran them back?
Yeah, no, I didn't run them back. I was like, you can watch them by yourself. I just.
Oh,
I
yes.
watched every single goddamn one of them.
You're not supposed to do that.
You're not
You're
supposed to
do
wait.
that.
And it kind of is, it takes away the funness of appointment consumption, meaning that, that on Saturday or Sunday night, Game of Thrones is going to be on. And like that's another one. I was over at, my ex-wife's house in Westminster, and the kids were watching Game of Thrones, and what's that? What's that? And then all of a sudden I'm addicted.
Yeah.
Like I'm going, oh, wow, I watch this. This is crazy. Kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if you thought like just simply 20 years ago that we would be doing that, that's wild ass shit. Like that's like, who would have thought and sat there and you're going to watch something like the same and the lights are all off. You got your bowl of popcorn, you're sitting there watching it but I personally like the appointment thing. Like I like knowing that, okay, this show is going to be released, that episode is going to be released on Sunday at 7:00 or whatever it is. Cause I look forward to it.
Yeah. They try to make it an event. That's when the mid-season finale came out, which doesn't even make sense, but it was like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
They were like grasping the last viewers that watch cable, and they're like, all right, we're going to start having mid-season finales in order to create these big events to make the event to people watch it. And you probably know that you look at the numbers, it's like sports, live events, things that's the only thing people will sit down in front of the TV and watch. Otherwise, they just go, oh, I'll just wait for this to be on a streaming service in general. Like, also, a lot of the TV shows they pick up are trash. No offense.
They are. They're just horrible.
They would pitch them. They would have these meetings because I've worked for these big companies, and they're like, okay, we got this big show. We got this fall. We just picked up a new show that's going to be on our cable. It's called In Todd We Trust. And they're like, and I go, I'm sitting there knowing that media is like failing, being like, oh, all of our whole lives are banked on In Todd We Trust. No one's going to watch this show. Yeah. It's going to be garbage.
Yeah.
But then once in a while, there's the big ones. There's Survivor's a big one. Those sort of ones that people will still tune in for. But it's tough to Peaky Blinders, Game of Thrones. There's less and less of that. And if there is, then they just put them on Netflix. Yeah. And you kind of watch them that way.
So you're doing radio still?
Yeah, I work for CFOX.
So every morning?
No. I do weekends.
Weekends?
I do weekends, but I fill in when the other people are on vacation, and they have quite a bit of vacation. So I've been working, and in radio, you can only take it in the summer and at Christmas. There's very small windows you can take vacation. So I've worked like every day for the last like month or so, and I got to do the morning show for the next 2 weeks. Starting.
Alex, I'm gonna ask you a really, really stupid question.
Sure.
Okay. How do you talk to yourself on the radio? Like, what kind of, like, do you have a script how you're gonna talk? Like what do you do? Like,
so
you're on? It's 4 hours, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the first person I've ever seriously talked about this.
I prepped the show. I got some little points and some ideas. There's like the things that people are talking about, and then your goal is just to take a view on that sort of. And you're supposed to pretend like you're talking to one person. If you ever listen to the radio, they'll say like you're supposed to just pretend you're talking to one person, and it feels a little crazy at times, but I'm very used to it now.
Yeah.
And you know, there's feedback. You get the text line and people call in and they go,
Do you ever forget what you're talking about?
no, because personally I don't, because I know the ideas that I have, like, and I do this stuff a lot. So, you know, I have a script. I have the points. I have the body, the meat of the information in front of me. And then whatever it is just whatever I thought about it. And I know what I thought about it because it was just in my brain the whole time.
Mm-hmm. So you're a radio guy. Have you done any acting?
Yeah, I did some. So my dad is an actor. Yeah, he was the cook on the original Red Green show.
Really?
Yes. So I grew up filthy rich. No, not even close. He's a Canadian entertainer. So yeah, we grew up with millions. No,
Okay.
but he was the cook on the original Red Green show. He's a theater actor and stuff. So when I was a kid, when I was young, we would be like extras in things. So like I was an extra in a movie, a made-for-TV movie about a high school in the States that had a syphilis outbreak. So I played one of the kids in the background that you're supposed to just assume has syphilis. What was the
movie called?
I can't even remember. My sister would probably know. My sister was in it too. I was in the
funny.
Elizabeth Smart story as one of the search teams. You know, we were the search.
Yeah.
This one was kind of weird because they had like hundreds of us with the vests and the flashlights walking through the woods. Look, you know, and if you were watching from a distance, you'd be like, you know, oh, because Halifax has real missing people, you know, and they're like, oh, they're looking for that guy we saw on the news. We go, no, we're just pretending. Yeah, we're just walking around, just cameras. So it's been in a lot of stuff like that with my brother and my sisters. Cause we kind of have good memories from doing that stuff. My brother did some stuff, and my sister me probably the least amount of the three. Just extra work because it's like, you know, you get a certain amount of dollars an hour, and it's easy and that.
So is it an easy industry to break into, or is it really, really?
I think it's nearly impossible to make a real living. Like my dad was in things. He was in a Jell-O campaign.
Jell-O.
He was in like a lottery campaign, like things like that. But the majority of his work came from doing like dinner speaking. Being an actual actor is it seems very difficult. For all the people I know that are actors that are doing auditions, there's not a ton of people that are really making off with a ton of money. I think there's some people, obviously, you know, there's people make it, but I don't know that. One of the good things about comedy is you can kind of do it all yourself. You can make like a small touring company, and you can go to a brewery in a town, and you can make, you know, some money doing that.
And you can nail it.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But with acting, especially if you're just like, you know, trying to wait for somebody to come along, some person to see you and be like, yo, you're going to be the next talent. Like, I don't know that happens. People, I think, you know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, some people do. I have a friend that you know, is a comedian, and he wound up on a show that's a big show. It's called Adults. And it's like he's got billboards all over New York and stuff now, and he was just a regular comedian. So it happens, but he's also a generational talent. If you had asked me, like, he's insanely talented, and I go, yeah, I don't know about us mediocre folks. I don't know if he made it, you know, then that's good. But I don't look at him and go, well, I'm next. I go, well, maybe if God gives me a way more chops.
So when you go in for you must have an agent, right?
No, I don't have an agent. No, I don't really do any acting. I there's like agents sort of that I've worked for that I know, and they get me some work for like comedy and stuff, but I'm not like signed to them. They just like, you know, they're like, hey, would you want to do this thing? And I go, sure. I like to think I'm in a good position because they don't take a percentage. They just like me, and they go, you know.
That's cool.
Maybe if I make more money, they'll
say,
yeah,
take a chunk of you.
yeah.
So the comedy,
Yeah.
That's what I'm really. You've done a number of things, a plethora of occupations that you've had. I was doing a little bit of research. You sold cars. You were a valet. I'm making this up. Did you paint? Were you ever a painter?
I did paint. I had a friend that had a painting company. I painted for him for a bit. I didn't. I didn't mind painting. Painting's cool. It's easy.
Yeah.
But I only did that for a bit. I've done tons of jobs. Like when I was growing up, I started like by mowing lawns. When I was like 13, I would mow lawns and shovel driveways, just because I was a kid. I was a kid with too much energy, and so
having money is kind of nice.
Yeah, I always loved the look of like a jar full of money, and I love holding money and counting money. When I was a valet, and I was just put it all in a shoebox, and sometimes I would just take it and look at it and count it. I knew how much was there. I'd just count it, which is not the healthiest thing, but it's also, I paid for school with cash. When I tried to. When I went to university, I showed up at the desk and I had like a wad of $7,000 in 20s and 5s. And I was, at the time, I was like, I'd smoked so much weed at the time. I was just going there like, and I was like in a tracksuit, and then I'm just like, I'm here to pay for school.
You're peeling off 20s.
And the lady goes, okay. And I go, here. And she goes, we don't accept cash. And I was like, what do you mean you don't accept cash? It's cash. It's cash. Take it. I'm here to pay for school. She's like, I don't have a cash register. She's like, that's not how this works. I'm like, it is how it works. You take it.
Did she take money?
I go, what am I supposed to do? She goes, take it to the bank, get a money order, and then come back and you can give me the money order.
That's a lot of work.
Stupid. That is dumb.
That's a lot of work.
This is the best form of career. This is the best way to pay. It's cash. And those 5s and stuff, it was huge. I wasn't trying to get rid of my big bills I wanted to keep.
Did you have any toonies or loonies?
No, it got as low as 5s, but tons of them, tons of 5s and 10s, as many as I could in a rubber band, just strapped up. And then I just had to put it back in my pocket. And when I look back on this, I go,
that's a big wad.
It's a huge wad. I didn't think anything through. I didn't have a complete thought until I was like 26. Everything I did before that, I was just have the first half of the thought, and then I just acted on it, and it led to a lot of things. That's one of those ones where I go, yeah, just even walking around with $7,000 in your pocket is dumb.
Well, Alex, I'm gonna share a little secret with you. I'm 61 and I don't think things through.
Yeah,
it never ends. Like it's like, did you think this through? No, I'm a little bit better. What did you think was going to happen?
So sometimes it's good, because if I had thought through showing up to a job that I didn't apply for and doing all the talking with 2 people, then I wouldn't have got the job. If I had thought that through, I'd go, that's stupid. But at the time I was like, I just come and I do the talking. Yeah. So sometimes it's good. Well, I should have had the first half of a thought of Bitcoin. And then, if I were thinking Bitcoin through, ruined my life. I'd have drove here in a Lamborghini.
Did you go down the rabbit hole?
No, but the first time somebody showed me Bitcoin, it was $400, and they explained it to me, and I was like, this is stupid. I was like, they're like, that's not attached to any government, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, so it's nothing. And then it went to $800, and I thought I missed the boat.
Yeah.
And then since then, I just look at it. Every time I see it go up, I go.
I went hard, man.
Do you got some?
Not anymore. Not anymore. The moment I went to the bank to buy some, like, what an idiot. Okay. And I got pulled into a special room, and what exactly do you want this money for, Mr. Malkowich? Do you realize what what type of investment vehicle are you looking at? I'm buying Bitcoin. Really? You're buying Bitcoin? Like, where are you going to buy it? Well, there's a guy. I'm going to meet him in a parking lot behind the dry cleaner on 152nd, and he's going to give me a key fob. Oh, okay. And they ended up not giving me the money.
The bank can be weird about money sometimes.
The bank ended up not giving me the money. And then the next day I went for a walk, and I did eventually end up buying some, and I got into it, and then I became obsessed at watching it, like just watching it and thinking, ooh, yeah. And I have 2 dogs, and I was walking by the Serpentine River with them, and one of my a mentor of mine, an elderly accountant, phoned me. And I told him what I'd done. And he said, do you know anything about this? I said, well, what do you mean? He started asking him all these questions. He said, like, well, what's the difference between me taking a photocopier and you doing blah, 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 blah. And he went on and on and on and on and on. And I was like, I felt like shit. Like after that, I was going, oh, what have I done? What have I done? Now, fortunately, it wasn't a lot of money. And I'm not suggesting that I could afford to lose it, because you can never afford to lose money. Okay, that's a bad thing. But I ended up, I got my money back, less whatever fees and stuff. And I got into Ripple. Shit. I still have the things that it was hype.
Yeah, that's what the whole thing.
It was all hype.
You need it to be hype.
Yeah. And I went like, okay, how do I buy, like if I want to go to McDonald's, what do I do?
With the Bitcoin?
Yeah.
So what you do with Bitcoin is you rent a Ferrari and then you take pictures in front of it and then you say other people should buy Bitcoin. And then you move to Miami. And that's what you do. That's from what I understand. That's what I gather with Bitcoin. It's mostly just taking pictures in front of cars that you rented. So if you didn't do that, you weren't doing Bitcoin.
I was wrong. Like my illustrious career from, I attempted to be a day trader too, which was
so it's just one of the great dreams. Yeah. It's one of the great dreams of the, you know what? I know the stocks will go up.
Yeah.
I got a few stocks and I look at them and I go, I'm a genius just because I put it into NVIDIA and I go, NVIDIA's going up. And people are like, it's going to go down. And I go, no.
I put a bunch of money into Palm Pilot. Do you remember Palm Pilot?
Of course, Palm Pilot.
I thought that was a winner. And the thing is that when I look, I'm not going to mention his name, but he was telling me all about it. And then, I'm going, what am I listening to? Like, why am I listening to Gary?
Right.
What does he know? And I lost all of it. I lost it all.
You would think, but you would think, it's tough because you think like BlackBerry at a time, RIM stock, RIM.
Yeah.
This is, everybody's got these.
Everybody's using them.
Everybody had BlackBerries and we were like, these are great. They're Canadian and I love it and I support it. And then we were like, look how you can watch videos on YouTube. And we took our BlackBerries and we just whipped them into the river. And then just the next day, everybody was just watching YouTube on an iPhone. Yeah. And the BlackBerry was gone, even though it was a good device. I actually think that's when the internet peaked. Yeah. We had Google Maps, BlackBerries. No, we weren't obsessed with social media. This is a nice little zone. We're in a nice little zone.
The thing is that all of this technology that we're talking about has, like, we're talking like it took so long it happened quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like it happened really, really quick. And like now, we got apps that'll tell you how to, how your heart rate's doing, what your blood pressure is, how far you walked, how long it's going to take you. I shouldn't say this, but sometimes we do order from Dairy Queen blizzards. And, the highlight of the night is we order a blizzard and then with Uber Eats and then you follow the car,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. I'm so lazy that I don't want to leave the car. And if Habib could come into the house and give it to me, that would be better.
Yeah.
Because I got to walk down the stairs to get it. And, but we're so lazy, like when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Ideally, one day after you're done drinking your blizzard, the Uber Eats guy will come and he'll move your body to burn the calories off too. And you'll just have somebody do this for you. And you just go, and you'll never have to move. I love this life. I never have to move from my bed. I've got a chair and it sits up and then I go on the internet. And
it's crazy. It's crazy. So you originally came from the East Coast.
Yeah.
We're talking about that. You're a fast food employee. You're a hotel bellman, used car salesman, landlord. Is this true? You sold cable door to door?
Yeah, I sold cable door to door in Detroit.
In Detroit?
Yeah, I was in Detroit.
Oh, are you allowed to?
Do you have any American customs officers that watch this? Do you have anyone from the border? No. So I was very young and I was very dumb. And a friend of mine who I went to school with for a long time lived there. And he was like, you'd be really good at selling cable door to door. So I went to Detroit, and I sold cable door to door. And it was really fun. I loved it. I was really good at it, and I made decent money doing it, but it was only a temporary thing because ultimately I was like working for his company, and I wasn't supposed to. Pitch? Well, so great question. So I show up at the door. I'm working for Comcast, and I'm gonna pretend like I'm actually
I'm knocking on the door.
Okay,
You're knocking on the door.
I go, hey, I'm from Comcast. I'm just here to make sure that your services are working okay. And then you go, I don't even have Comcast, because you're so mad that I have knocked on your door, because I'm pretending to be a service.
Were you doing it early in the morning or late?
No, not early, because we weren't waking up early. We made the schedule, so it was like middle of the day. And then you go, I don't even have Comcast. I'm with Wow, which is another. And I go, oh, I got great news. We actually have a package right now, $29.99 for internet and cable, and it's for a year. And I actually just hooked up your neighbor. Not true. I just hooked up your neighbor, and so he's going to pay the install. He's paying the install. So if we're in the neighborhood anyway, we can install yours for free. And they kind of look out and they're like, that stupid jerk Jerry's paying for it.
I hate Jerry.
Jerry. So Jerry's getting stung and I'm getting the deal. And he goes, Jerry. Yeah, Jerry's paying for it. And it was a really genuinely a good deal, because people were paying like $100, and we were offering, that's the actual price, was $29.99 for internet and cable, which is an insane deal. And there was a few incidences where, so I also keep in mind, so I was like 20, and when I was 20, I looked 15, and I have a weird voice in their minds, and maybe even in yours, the way I say certain words. So they'd be like, where are you from? Like, and I'd be like, I'm from a place called Nova Scotia. And they'd just be like, what is that?
What state is that?
They have no clue. Yeah. And so when I would go, so one time they were like, I was like, hey, I'm from Comcast. I'm here to check on your service and make sure everything's going good. And he's like, thank God you're here. It hasn't been working. So this happened multiple times where I had to go in and then go and look behind someone's TV and pretend to be fixing it. And I would just be looking at it, and I would go, I go, you know what? We're going to have to get the van. We're going to have to bring the van in.
Technicians.
The techs. This is above me. You got a real problem here. You know what? I'm going to get the tech to come in, and I would just leave. And I would just move on. They're like, I'm going to send probably people still waiting for a van to show up. I had multiple times people, I signed them up for cable, and then they would invite me to eat dinner.
Really?
And I would sit down with families. I'm in just Detroit, Michigan. They've got bars on the windows and everything. These are all good people, by the way. Their middle class is weird. It looks weird. Not weird. It looks different from ours, because they got bars on the windows and the houses are smaller. But the people are all fantastic. And so I would I would hook them up, and then they'd be like, do you want to eat with us? And I would just like be eating with the family in Detroit, just eating burgers. So one time it happened 2 times in a row. I was stuffed, but I was like, you know what? I'm just polite. I'm trying to be polite. And I would just be sitting there talking. They're asking me questions about where I'm from. One guy screamed at me for so long. Like, I came to the door. Americans love to like stack their house with political, with their whatever.
Their ideology.
And this guy,
was he MAGA?
It just happened. Well, there's no such thing yet. This is a George Bush guy.
Okay.
He's got all the Bush.
Yeah.
George Bush.
Bush shit.
And he's got a ton of it, and he answers the door. Because also another thing, and I'm not proud of this, but if it said no solicitors, we would ignore it because we're there to check on your service. So he's like, no solicitors. He's just screaming at me, and he's like turning red. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm waiting for him to finish talking, because I really don't care about getting yelled at. I was a bad kid. I've been yelled at a million times. This is nothing. And I'm just looking at him, and I wait for him to finish. I go, I'm just here to check on your service. And he's like, I'm not even with Comcast. And I was like, well, it's only $29.99 right now. We got internet and cable. And he goes, $29.99? And I was like, yeah. That same guy, flash forward 20 minutes, he's signed up, and I'm eating with his family. And he's going, I'm really sorry I yelled at you out there. I've just been having a tough day. He was kind of drunk. He was like half drunk, big, scary dude. Also, like, he seemed nuts. This is another bad decision where I was like this same man that screamed at me was like, come on in. And I was like, all right, coming in. Taking my shoes off. That's how they know. They're like, you must be Canadian. I'm like, yeah, I am Canadian. Just eating with
Did he offer you a beer?
Oh, yeah. And I drank at that time. So I would drink beers. I would go through it.
That's a sitcom.
Yeah, it was.
That's actually a premise. That's a good premise for
it. It was genuinely
getting hammered with the with the customer.
Yeah,
That'd
we would
be funny.
have beer. We would drink beer at the Econo. We lived in an Econo Lodge, so we would live in these trash hotels. We lived in an Econo Lodge, and it had some roaches in it. I remember one time we called down to the front desk, and we were like, "You got to lower the rate, or we're gonna go across the street." And we were like, "Cause there's roaches in our room." And the guy goes, "You can go across the street. They have roaches too." And we were just like, "Well played." But yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So, okay, you come out here. When you came out here, did you have a radio gig lined up?
Yeah, I've said ever since I got into radio, basically every time I've moved is for radio. So the first time I came out was to work for CFOX, which I work for now. Then I went to the Edge, and then I went back to Calgary. Now it's during COVID, so I'm working from home with as much like this, a studio setup. I'm just doing radio from home. And then they opened Sonic in Vancouver, and I got brought out to be a part of Sonic to do the midday. And so that was like 4.5 years ago. And so
You're still doing it?
Yes, for a different company now, and in a a lot less. I do a lot more comedy and a lot less radio, but I still love it. I mean, I love it. It's sad the way it's going, but I love doing it. It's fun. I like listening to music and talking, and I also loved watching the news, as you said. Like I watch the news, and that's where I get a lot of my information from. It keeps me sharp too, because I'm like constantly writing things.
Do you have any complete whack jobs phoning in?
Oh. Almost exclusively. Almost.
I've always wondered what it was like sitting there on the station doing a show. You're by yourself.
Yeah.
You're sitting there. And like, who's phoning into a radio station?
Well, I mean, there's some really great people, and I was just being kidding when I said almost exclusive. There's some great people that call in that love the radio. CFOX is a heritage station, so it has like a legacy. I'm like a little pebble in part of this big thing, and so there's people that have been listening forever, and they love to come up to you when you do live events. They come up and they're like, "I've been listening to CFOX for 30 years, and I remember this person and that person." But some of the people that call in are, just like people that don't have anyone to talk to. So they just call and they go, and they give you a piece of their mind. Sometimes people don't like me and they tell me that I suck, and I go, cool. All right there. I just say thanks for listening. That happens all the time.
Are these live calls?
Yeah, but they're not played on the radio.
Yeah, okay.
I've only ever done, I used to fill in on the talk show from midnight to 5 a.m.
Oh, that'd be
on
exciting. CKNW.
That's a real challenge. Now I've talked for a couple minutes, an hour with music. When you do the talk show, you got to talk for 25 minutes straight off the top of the hour. And I used to do it, and I was like, I loved it because it was like late and it was the middle of the night. And so I would bring up like crazy topics. I'd be talking about aliens and the Anunnaki and like all this crazy stuff. And I'd have these truck drivers call in and go like, finally somebody's talking about this. Finally the truth is going to, it was crazy. I remember one time I interviewed a NASA scientist, and I started asking him, he's being dead serious about all this space stuff, and I started asking him about aliens, and I'm like, what about the Anunnaki? You think humans were created in order to mine gold? And he's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. So mad. He was like, it sounds like some science fiction. But I still played it. It was very funny.
So did you ever have like where it escalated to the point where somebody was going to come down to the station and kick the shit out of you? Threatening you with physical violence?
Yes, I've been threatened before, and I don't worry about it even in the slightest bit, because people that really do things, they don't threaten you. They just show up and just do it. Why would you? I got a threat the other day on my Instagram. Some guy was like, I'm going to show up to your show and kick your ass and stuff. And all I thought was like, why would you tell me this? Now I'm ready. I'm ready to go. What you just do it. Also, I don't care. But you know what? To be honest, I come from a little bit of a privileged position because I really don't care, and somebody could show up. I was in boxing and stuff. It's no big deal for me. But there are people who are a little more vulnerable than me, and those people actually do get threats, and they do worry about it. And so I feel for those people. But anytime you're in the public eye, you run the risk of having that happen.
Like I've had, in the newspaper business when I used to run a newspaper, like we just we couldn't handle, like we were dumping flyers and all that kind of stuff in creeks, and when it was like, it was nasty stuff. And I used to wear a suit to work, and a guy came in and he got all verbal and physical with me, and he ripped my sleeve off of my jacket.
Wow.
Yeah, he wanted to fight me.
Did he really teach you a lesson?
Oh.
Did you learn? Where you're like, you know what? I'm going to change my ways.
I don't know why, and the thing is that I did my best to try not to escalate it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my business manager in it. And the last thing I wanted to do was make a scene. But when you got like 85 employees, it's, what are you going to do?
Right.
Everybody's coming in and watching, like, okay, there's going to be a fist fight in the foyer, and
which is fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. That's always fun.
That's exciting.
Phone the police. We phoned the police, and they came, and he left, and I guess they phoned me back, and they said, I think we got the guy. Was he such and such and such and such? And I said, yeah, but who's going to fix my jacket?
Right.
Like,
Well, nothing. Were people writing stories in the newsroom as it was happening? They're like, "This is great. I got something on my beat."
We never, no, nobody said anything. The closest, there's a lot of shit. Like, I've been in the newspaper business since 1989, and I've seen a lot of stuff. Like I have, and I have good friends that own businesses, and when like, we try to be, and contrary to what everyone believes. The news is subjective. It's subjective to interpretation. You and I can see a bank robbery, and you might think that the guy was wearing a gray shirt, and I think he's wearing a blue shirt. I get that kind of thing, but we can agree that it was a bank robbery. But I find ourselves at a time now where we can't even agree that it was a bank robbery, that the guy was going in to ask her for a date.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff. But my point to this is that I always looked at it, thinking that it was a good thing, because people gave a shit so much that, like, he thought it was important enough to come and, like, get into a physical altercation with me.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say that was the first time that something like that happened. I've given advertisers money back. I've had restaurants be closed down, and one of my reporters walking down the street, and when the order being posted on the front window, and we're going to run the story, man. Like, we're going to do that. I like to think that when in my newspaper career and my media career, I have been as objective as I possibly could be. I do have my leanings, like I do, I admit it. But I'm old school in the fact that when you look at a story, this is the way it used to be, and it should be, is that when you're reporting the news, it's like, yes, now you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now it's like, I call it journalism a little bit, like, your take on it. And
yeah,
that's what editorials are for.
Right.
So things, and I don't think we're ever going to go back because of the internet and that kind of thing. Like, I'll ask you, like, where do you get your news from? What's your news?
All kinds of places. So I have a wide variety of places. I'll watch the global BC news feed that's on my Roku TV if I just want to get the local stuff, and then a short version of the international stuff. I take it with a grain of salt because I know how the news works. I know that they're just reading NPR's the APs, the Associated Press. Yeah. I've worked in it, and I know how it works, where they just read what they're given. Nobody questions.
Nobody questions.
There's no journalism.
Right.
There's no actual journalists. It's just people that, if you can read, then you could be doing this.
That's right.
So I do that, and then I have ways that when I look at the things, and then I ask, I'll ask ChatGPT some questions. I know that's controversial. People don't like that, but
this is shit. That's what it's for.
And then I have Apple News, and I look through Apple News, and that's pretty catered to what I like. And then I have a few different varying YouTube channels that I like that go from all the way on the left to the middle to all the way on the right, and I cycle through them all. And then, as I say to people, that if it's a complicated subject and you have a very simple outlook on it, then you probably didn't look into it too much. And so I don't really hold too strong to anything other than the things I know and can see.
Do you this is just an opinion, and opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one. I get it. But do you think that we've become more nihilistic?
Yeah. Well, yeah, for sure.
Like
for sure.
Beyond the pale, like can we or do you think we'll ever have that? I'm not saying apple pie and that kind of shit. I'm saying, what I'm saying is, like we're if I think that monkeys are having sex with the gorillas, I can find a website that'll say monkeys and gorillas are having sex. I seriously question what I'm seeing. And I've kind of given up verifying it, like trying to figure out, okay, did this really happen? Was Tiger Woods driving with Tony Roma with a bunch of beer cans in his car and ripped out of his face? And like, I don't know if that's AI, I guess, but I do know what's going on, but I don't really have a trusted source. And I apologize if you do work with CBC. I do, but
I don't.
CBC is not, my mom and dad's CBC anymore. And I'm all for protecting Canadian content. I really am, because we'll get swallowed up by our the big boys down south. But I just would like to see a little bit more objectivity, and objectivity doesn't mean you have to be nuts. Like, just be common, like just use common sense. And everyone is not a victim. Some people are responsible for their own actions, and they do stupid shit. And when you do stupid shit, things happen, not necessarily good things. So my consumption of the news, like you brought up Global. I watch Global at night because I look at it. I believe Global is like the McDonald's drive-through of news. Mm-hmm. It's 21 minutes long.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I like it.
And I go, okay, I know now.
Also, it's BC, so I get some of those little smaller local stories.
Yeah. So I go, but I am like anybody that I do support PBS. I do. For whatever reason, I like the British programming. I do. Like, nobody does a series like the British do. Like, it's good stuff. Mm-hmm. But even PBS is just, it's not even the news. It's just like, it's like an opinion piece on, something. Like, it's not. Yeah, it's not meaty. It's not like, and I don't. And you know what you say? Because I had Mo Amir on here, and we had that discussion. And Mo goes, well, give me, examples of what and they're all, well, I could sit here for an hour and use a bunch of examples of things that I see that, they're one-sided, that you want to see both sides. But, we live in interesting times, and I don't know, it'll be very interesting to see where we end up in 20 or 30 years. But back to your comedy.
I agree. I know the news used to be like, you look out the window and you look down the street and you tell people what's going to go on.
Yeah.
And now it feels very subjective. But at the end of the day, I only think that what matters to me is what matters to me, and the rest of it, I don't put too much stake into it. You're in the news business. I'm sort of in the interpreting what's going on business. For instance, comedy. But what would you want to know about comedy? Any burning questions?
Well,
any burning questions about anything?
Can you earn a living being a Canadian comedian?
So you can, but you got to do a lot. You got to be producing your own shows. You got to, I do the booking for 2 different clubs, and that helps me pay the bills. And then I work for these touring companies, and I also do clean comedy. So I work for another company that's clean, and clean comedy pays a lot more. And I work.
Can you I'm going to stop. What does clean comedy mean? No swear words?
Just to simplify it, just and not dark topics, and things that you could maybe see on TV.
Okay, I got
things that you would be okay to say in front of a normal grandparent. My grandparents don't care, but the normal ones apparently do.
Normies,
according to what the TV tells me.
Okay.
So yeah, you got to do a lot, and it's very difficult, and there's no end in sight. So there's, but like if you get an album on Sirius, which many people do, and that's not that hard to do, then you can get some decent money every month. And that's where a lot of the if you know comedians that are like, that don't have other jobs, that's usually where their income comes from.
One of the interesting things about moving out here, I grew up in Winnipeg, and we had Yuck Yucks, we had Rumors Comedy Club, we had Dinner Theater, I'm forgetting 3 or 4 other ones. And we used to, in all honesty, when we were going to university, the only reason we went is because the draft was $5.
Right.
Put a little bit of salt, you get a little bit of popcorn, and really didn't give a shit about the entertainment. But we saw some really, really funny guys and gals, and I appreciate stand-up. I really appreciate the ability that someone that has the ability to take a room that's completely unknown and make them laugh. And I can only imagine how intimidating that would be when you got some asshole screaming and hollering at you or just being belligerent. And I say funny stuff, but my wife says it's just funny to you. You're not funny.
Well, there's a sign, you test this stuff out and you get used to it. You get a really thick skin eventually. Especially when you're on stage. I don't care if somebody yells. I don't have, that makes no difference to me. I deal with this stuff all the time. And I just go, yeah. A friend of mine always goes, he goes, and then he goes, there's only one microphone. And then you have all the power. I worked with a guy named Dan Mintz from Bob's Burgers. You ever see the show Bob's Burgers? I have played Tina on Bob's Burgers. He's an amazing, he's the voice for Tina. He's an amazing comedian. He's so good. He's very different from me though. And I do a lot of crowd work at the start. And he was like, how you do that crowd work at the start? And he was like, I don't know how you do it like that. And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you just open it up and the audience what if the audience turns on you? And I was like, Dan, I've got the microphone, man. What are they going to do?
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Just yell stuff? I got speakers.
Yeah.
I don't worry about it. But, it's not when you first start, it's very intimidating. It's very difficult. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done is doing stand-up. But then eventually you're like, oh, none of this matters. None of it. It doesn't matter if you guys laugh or don't laugh or whatever. We're all going to die and be worms anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's just, it's all good.
That's true. When we've been talking almost for an hour here now.
Yeah.
But I want to sort of, there's some other things I want to get to. What are there's things that are happening. Every comedian seems to have a podcast now. You have a podcast?
I did one for a bit during COVID when I had my studio at home, and I just did it for fun because I was just doing radio from home, and I had nothing better to do. And I sometimes I think about bringing it back. People liked it, but it didn't get a lot of views. But the people that viewed it, I still get messages from people, and they're like, "You got to bring it back. That was really funny." And it was just me going over stuff and going through a few topics.
Okay, some rapid fire things. What do you think about Kill Tony?
I personally don't care for it. I know people that have done it, and it's made their life quite a bit better. I don't watch it. I don't have any interest in doing 1 minute of comedy. And I've opened for guys that became famous from it. And I won't name names, but they weren't good at comedy. But you know what? They filled a room full of people, and I also got paid. So good. So overall, good. I'm glad it exists. Not for me.
Yeah. That's an interesting animal. Like it really is. We watch it, but it seems to be, and I think I told Rachel this, it seems to be getting progressively punching down. Like it's just like, and you get like, like you got to be, there's certain criteria by which you need to be vetted to go. Like, but I guess that's kind of the vibe they're looking for, is some crazy man who's like on SSRIs or something like that, drinking a bottle of vodka, and he's going to be like ranting. Like, so, I don't know.
I have a theory about it. Tony Hinchcliffe was obsessed with Howard Stern. He loved Howard Stern. Howard Stern, way back in the day, used to have like, he would have like a black guy and a mentally handicapped person. a woman that they would depict as like being, pretty wild. And then all the jokes would be them sort of making fun of those people. The bucket pulls are not real. There's some of them are, some of them aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Tony can write. He's going to have an Asian guy on, a black guy, and somebody who seems really like unhinged, and then he can write jokes all week about knowing those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then so he pulls the bucket, the person goes up, and then Tony gets to make the jokes about black people, about Asian people, whatever it is. And then he seems really brilliant because this all just happened organically, but it just wasn't. But that's just a theory. I don't know. And if Kill Tony ever, I don't know. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. You're right.
Yeah.
You're great. Good for them. The last comedian I saw was Bill Burr. I find him extremely funny. I know he's playing at the park. He was funny as shit. But I grew up on live comedy. I did. And I respect the hell out of anybody that's willing to stand up there and do it. And listen, in closing and wrapping things up here,
yeah,
Alex, like what's your handles? What are you on Instagram?
Alex J Carr on Instagram at
Okay.
Alex J Carr.
Okay.
And that's just where you should just follow me, and then you can get all the links to all the other
and
stuff.
find
there.
out when your next shows are.
Find out when your shows are.
And you got anything big coming up?
I'm opening for a guy named Amos Gill. He does a podcast with Jim Jeffries, and he's
Okay.
very, very funny.
When is that?
That is on September 11th at the Vogue Theater. So that would be a great one to come to. I'm very excited about that.
We'll
come.
We'll come.
Come.
We'll come. No,
It'll be great.
I love the Vogue. Is Rocket Norton still alive?
I don't know who that is.
He used to run. He owned the Vogue. He used to be the drummer for Prism.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No.
So you're learning stuff, man.
Thanks.
Learning stuff from an old fart like me.
You're not old. We're about the same age.
Same age. I know I look like I'm 39.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, buddy. Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming out.
No
talking.
problem.
I respect the hell out of the anyone that's willing to stand up on a stage and say, "Here I am." Okay, I'm gonna make you laugh. I love that. I really do. And as self-admittedly, my wife and I have to make more trips downtown, and go see some comedy. I was texting back and forth with Nikki and saying I want to see some bangers. Like I want to see some guys and gals that are funny, and I enjoy laughing. I really do enjoy laughing. So thank you so much.
No problem.
Appreciate you, man. And
thanks for having
all the
me.
best. And we will come out to the Vogue, buddy.
All right.
Okay, man.
We'll see you there.
Be well.
You may be asking yourself, what's any of this got to do with me? Absolutely nothing. Until next time.